Hello and welcome to day 32 of our journey to read the Bible every day for 1 year in chronological order. Today we are going to read Exodus 7 to 9. Exodus 7. Moses is encouraged to go to Pharaoh. And the Lord said unto Moses, See, I have made thee a god to Pharaoh, and Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet. Thou shalt speak all that I command thee, and Aaron thy brother shall speak unto Pharaoh, that he send the children of Israel out of his land. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt. But Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that I may lay my hand upon Egypt, and bring forth mine armies and my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt by great judgments. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I stretch forth mine hand upon Egypt, and bring out the children of Israel from among them. And Moses and Aaron did as the Lord commanded them, so did they. And Moses was 80 years old, and Aaron 83 years old, when they spake unto Pharaoh. Moses' rod is turned into a serpent. And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, When Pharaoh shall speak unto you, saying, Shew a miracle for you, then thou shalt say unto Aaron, Take thy rod, and cast it before Pharaoh, and it shall become a serpent. And Moses and Aaron went in unto Pharaoh, and they did so as the Lord had commanded. And Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. Then Pharaoh also called the wise men and the sorcerers, now the magicians of Egypt. They also did in like manner with their enchantments. For they cast down every man his rod, and they became serpents. But Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods. And he hardened Pharaoh's heart, that he hearkened not unto them, as the Lord had said. The plague of water turned to blood. And the Lord said unto Moses, Pharaoh's heart is hardened, he refuseth to let the people go. Get thee unto Pharaoh in the morning. Lo, he goeth out unto the water, and thou shalt stand by the river's brink. Against he come, and the rod which was turned into a serpent shalt thou take in thine hand. And thou shalt say unto him, The Lord God of the Hebrews hath sent me unto thee, saying, Let my people go, that they may serve me in the wilderness. And behold, hitherto thou wouldest not hear. Thus saith the Lord, in this thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Behold, I will smite with the rod that is in mine hand upon the waters which are in the river, and they shall be turned to blood. And the fish that is in the river shall die, and the river shall stink, and the Egyptians shall loathe to drink of the water of the river. And the Lord spake unto Moses, say unto Aaron, Take thy rod, and stretch out thine hand upon the waters of Egypt, upon their streams, upon their rivers, and upon their ponds, and upon all their pools of water, that they may become blood, and that there may be blood throughout all the land of Egypt, both in vessels of wood and in vessels of stone. And Moses and Aaron did so, as the Lord commanded. And he lifted up the rod, and smote the waters that were in the river, in the sight of Pharaoh, and in the sight of his servants, and all the waters that were in the river were turned to blood. And the fish that was in the river died. And the river stank, and the Egyptians could not drink of the water of the river, and there was blood throughout all the land of Egypt. And the magicians of Egypt did so with their enchantments, and Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and neither did he hearken unto them, as the Lord had said. And Pharaoh turned and went into his house, neither did he set his heart to this also. And all the Egyptians digged around about the river for water to drink, for they could not drink of the water of the river. And 7 days were fulfilled after that the Lord had smitten the river, or smite. Exodus 8. The plague of frogs. And the Lord spake unto Moses, Go unto Pharaoh, and say unto him, Thus saith the Lord, Let my people go, that they may serve me. And if thou refuse to let them go, behold, I will smite all thy borders with frogs. And the river shall bring forth frogs abundantly, which shall go up and come into thine house, and into thy bedchamber, and upon thy bed, and into the house of thy servants, and upon thy people, and into thine ovens, and into thy kneading troughs. And the frogs shall come up both on thee, and upon thy people, and upon all thy servants. And the Lord spake unto Moses, and say unto Aaron, Stretch forth thine hand with thy rod over the streams, over the rivers, and over the ponds, and cause frogs to come up upon the land of Egypt. And Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. And the magicians did so with their enchantments, and brought up frogs upon the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron, and said, Entreat the Lord that he may take away the frogs from me, and from my people, and I will let the people go, that they may do sacrifice unto the Lord. And Moses said unto Pharaoh, Glory over me, when shall I entreat for thee, and for thy servants, and for thy people, to destroy the frogs from thee and thy houses, that they may remain in the river only? And he said, Tomorrow. And he said, Be it according to thy words, that thou mayest know that there is none like unto the Lord our God. And the frogs shall depart from thee, and from thy houses, and from thy servants, and from thy people, they shall remain in the river only. And Moses and Aaron went out from Pharaoh, and Moses cried unto the Lord because of the frogs which he had brought against Pharaoh. And the Lord did according to the word of Moses. And the frogs died out of the houses, out of the villages, and out of the fields. And they gathered them together upon heaps, and the land stank. But when Pharaoh saw that there was respite, he hardened his heart and hearkened not unto them, as the Lord had said. The plague of lice. And the Lord said unto Moses, Say unto Aaron, Stretch out thy rod, and smite the dust of the land, that it may become lice throughout all the land of Egypt. And they did so. For Aaron stretched out his hand with his rod, and smote the dust of the earth, and it became lice in man, and in beast. All the dust of the land became lice throughout all the land of Egypt. And the magicians did so with their enchantments, to bring forth lice. But they could not, so there were lice upon man, and upon beast. Then the magician said unto Pharaoh, This is the finger of God. And Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he hearkened not unto them, as the Lord had said. The plague of swarms of flies that cover the land. And the Lord said unto Moses, Rise up early in the morning, and stand before Pharaoh. Lo, he cometh forth to the water, and say unto him, Thus saith the Lord, Let my people go, that they may serve me. Else, if thou wilt not let my people go, behold, I will send swarms of flies upon thee, and upon thy servants, and upon thy people, and into thy houses. And the houses of the Egyptians shall be full of swarms of flies, and also the ground whereon they are. And I will serve in that day the land of Goshen. And I will sever in that day the land of Goshen, in which my people dwell, that no swarms of flies shall be there, to the end thou mayest know that I am the Lord in the midst of the earth. And I will put a division between my people and thy people. Tomorrow shall this sign be. And the Lord did so, and there came a grievous swarm of flies into the house of Pharaoh, and into his servants' houses, and into all the land of Egypt. The land was corrupted by reason of the swarm of flies. And Pharaoh called for Moses and for Aaron, and said, Go ye sacrifice to your God in the land. And Moses said, It is not meet to do, for we shall sacrifice the abomination of the Egyptians to the Lord of our God. Lo, shall we sacrifice the abomination of the Egyptians before their eyes, and will they not stone us? We will go 3 days' journey into the wilderness, and sacrifice to the Lord our God as he shall command us. And Pharaoh said, I will let you go, that ye may sacrifice to the Lord your God in the wilderness. Only ye shall not go very far away. Entreat for me. And Moses said, Behold, I go out from thee, and I will entreat the Lord that the swarms of flies may depart from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people tomorrow. But let not Pharaoh deal deceitfully any more in not letting the people go to sacrifice to the Lord. And Moses went out from Pharaoh and entreated the Lord. And the Lord did according to the word of Moses, and he removed the swarms of flies from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people. There remained not one. And Pharaoh hardened his heart, at this time also, neither would he let the people go. Exodus 9. The plague of death on the beasts. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go in unto Pharaoh, and tell him, Thus saith the Lord God of the Hebrews, Let my people go, that they may serve me. For if thou refuse to let them go, and wilt hold them still, behold, the hand of the Lord is upon thy cattle, which is in the field, upon the horses, upon the asses, upon the camels, upon the oxen, and upon the sheep. There shall be a very grievous murrain. And the Lord shall sever between the cattle of Israel and the cattle of Egypt, and there shall nothing die of all that is the children of Israel. And the Lord appointed a set time, saying, Tomorrow the Lord shall do this thing in the land. And the Lord did that thing on the morrow, and all the cattle of Egypt died. But of the cattle of the children of Israel died not one. And Pharaoh sent, and behold, there was not one of the cattle of the Israelites dead. And the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he did not let the people go. The plague of boils and blisters. And the Lord said unto Moses and unto Aaron, Take to you handfuls of ashes of the furnace, and let Moses sprinkle it toward the heaven in the sight of Pharaoh. And it shall become small dust in all the land of Egypt, and shall be a boil breaking forth with blains upon man and upon beast throughout all the land of Egypt. And they took ashes of the furnace and stood before Pharaoh, and Moses sprinkled it up toward heaven, and it became a boil breaking forth with blains upon man and upon beast. And the magicians could not stand before Moses because of the boils. For the boil was upon the magicians and upon all the Egyptians. And the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, and he hearkened not unto them, as the Lord has spoken unto Moses. Moses warns about the coming hail. And the Lord said unto Moses, Rise up early in the morning, and stand before Pharaoh, and say unto him, Thus saith the Lord God of the Hebrews, Let my people go, that they may serve me. For I will at this time send all my plagues upon thine heart, and upon thy servants, and upon thy people, that thou mayest know that there is none like me in all the earth. For now I will stretch out my hand, that I may smite thee and thy people with pestilence, and thou shalt be cut off from the earth. And in very deed, for this cause have I raised thee up, for to shew in thee my power, and that my name may be declared throughout all the earth. As yet exaltest thou thyself against my people, that thou wilt not let them go? Behold, tomorrow, about this time, I will cause it to rain a very grievous hail, such as hath not been in Egypt since the foundations thereof even until now. Send therefore now, and gather thy cattle, and all that thou hast in the field, for upon every man and beast which shall be found in the field, and shall not be brought home, the hail shall come down upon them, and they shall die. He that feareth the word of the Lord among the servants of Pharaoh made his servants and his cattle flee into the houses. And he that regarded not the word of the Lord left his servants and his cattle in the field. The plague of hail. And the Lord said unto Moses, Stretch forth thine hand toward heaven, that there may be hail in all the land of Egypt, upon man and upon beast, and upon every herb of the field, throughout the land of Egypt. And Moses stretched forth his rod toward heaven, and the Lord sent thunder and hail, and the fire ran along upon the ground, and the Lord rained hail upon the land of Egypt. So there was hail and fire mingled with the hail, very grievous, such as there was none like it in all the land of Egypt since it became a nation. And the hail smote throughout all the land of Egypt, all that was in the field, both man and beast, and the hail smote every herb of the field, and brake every tree of the field. Only in the land of Goshen, where the children of Israel were, was there no hail. And Pharaoh sent and called for Moses and Aaron, and said unto them, I have sinned this time. The Lord is righteous, and I and my people are wicked. Entreat the Lord, for it is enough, that there be no more mighty thunderings and hail, and I will let you go, and ye shall stay no longer. And Moses said unto him, As soon as I am gone out of the city, I will spread abroad my hands unto the Lord, and the thunder shall cease, neither shall there be any more hail, that thou mayest know how that the earth is the Lord's. But as for thee and thy servants, I know that ye will not yet fear the Lord God. And the flax and the barley was smitten, for the barley was in the ear, and the flax was boiled. But the wheat and the rice were not smitten, for they were not grown up. And Moses went out of the city from Pharaoh, and spread abroad his hands unto the Lord, and the thunder and hail ceased, and the rain was not poured upon the earth. And when Pharaoh saw that the rain and the hail and the thunders were ceased, he sinned yet more, and hardened his heart, he and his servants. And the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, neither would he let the children of Israel go, as the Lord had spoken by Moses. So this was Exodus 7-9, and I have something to say to the very beginning, where magicians were mentioned, because, well, first I didn't know that there were magicians in the Bible, so this is really surprising to me, because back in church, we didn't really talk about it, so this is interesting, and the thing that I found more interesting is actually that the magicians could recreate what God had made Moses do and Aaron, but the I would say the heavier things, the things that only God can do, well, the magician couldn't recreate. So this is something that I also think about science when they say that the Big Bang has created everything. They always say it was like in a microsecond or something, that everything was created or something like that, and then evolution and everything. And I always think, I'm not a scientist, so take everything I say with a grain of salt, but when I always hear that, were you there? That's always my question, because even though scientists are recreating something where they couldn't have been there, like the evolution and everything around that time, everything around the beginning, well, nobody was there because nobody was alive. So scientists have to create something to experiment with the idea of the creation of the worlds and everything. And for me, it's just crazy how someone would. It's not crazy, but for me, I couldn't believe that somebody thinks that everything was created with just like that, you know. For me, it's more plausible to believe in God than to believe that everything was just there, you know. The whole universe, all the stars that we see, everything was just there. And that's just a crazy thought. I think that people really believe in that. But some people always also say that about God because we never see God. But I think when we see all that He created, it just makes sense that there is something bigger than us, because I do not know any people who could create oceans and the earth and grass and everything. Like, for me, that's just beyond me, that's beyond people, and that's beyond just something like that, you know. That's beyond a big bang, you know. That just, for me, even though I don't really know how the scientist came to this conclusion, for me it makes more sense that God created everything and that God has the higher power over us. We are not. That's also why we say we are not God and we can't play God. For example, when we look at the weather, we can't play God, and we can never be God and create something that is just beyond our power, you know, our strength, our physical things that we can do. We cannot create mountains just like that. We can change mountains or artificially do something, but it will never be the mountains that were there since the beginning. So for me, it's the same thing here with the magicians. They, even though they are just people in a way, even though they are magicians, that's just their job, I guess. But even though they have this know-how of magic, I guess, I would believe that's black magic. So they have this power of the evil magic or whatever, and they still cannot recreate the same way that God has made it. So they use their magic, but God just does it, you know what I mean? It's not a craft, it's Him. It's just what He can do, and we just can't do it. Even when we have the know-how, like the magicians, they could do some things. Well, in the end, they couldn't do anything anymore. But what really stuck out to me was when they also created. Well, they transformed the rod into a serpent, and they achieved to do it. But God's power is way mightier, I guess, if we can say it like that. His power is just beyond us. So the serpents, well, Moses' serpent swallowed all of the magician's serpents. So and this example is like everything we try to do as people. We try to be bigger than God, but we can't overgrow God. We can't be bigger than Him. And also, why would we want to be bigger than Him? Well, I always think when people want to have so much power, like today's president, or no, we know all the politics that go that is in the world, all the politicians that sometimes lie, or that just don't want the best for the people or for the nation or for the city. They just want to have their power and to abuse their power. And it's the same thing for me as with the serpents. Well, we can't be bigger than God, and why would we want to? Because with God everything's better. So why do we want to be bigger instead of being with him and with having him in the center of everything we do, and by having him in our thoughts all the time? That's way more powerful than having this much money, or than having this many people that love you or something like that. If we have God in our center, everything's going to be okay, and everything is already okay. Because if each person on this earth would have God in his center and know what God has done and how we can also recreate our little magic, but not the black magic, if we can just follow his example or Jesus' example, then everything would be fine, right? There wouldn't be any problems on this earth, to be honest. So these were my thoughts on this, on the magicians, and just the serpent was for me the perfect example of how we should not want to be greater than God, or to do things that are going to diminish the work God has done. So I'm just going to write next to this verse. It was here. And Moses and Aaron went in unto Pharaoh, and they did so as the Lord had commanded. And Aaron cast down the rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. And then the magicians. Then Pharaoh also called the wise men and the sorcerers. Now the magicians of Egypt, they also did in like manner with their enchantments, for they cast down every man his rod, and they became serpents. But Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods. So was the verse 12, and I'm going to write next to this, do not I'm going to write next to it, we cannot be greater than God. Just going to write next to it, God's power. Because if we want to do it, it would mean that we are also evil, or that we cannot trust in God, and that He's way more powerful than us. And if we always want to do more and more and more, just to be even slightly like God, it's just bad. It's hard to explain, but it's just, why would you do that? I would always think, why would I want to be greater than God? That doesn't make sense. I want to be his friend. I want to be his daughter, I don't want to be like him. I want to be loved by him, and because I am a good person, and because I want to do good things, and my mind is not evil. And yeah, so that's really all I have to say about this. Well, the plague, Pharaoh didn't want to listen, so it makes sense that all of this happened. I just found it sad that also the animals had to go through it. In the last part, it was even worse, I guess, for the animals, because there were, but well, Pharaoh and all the people who already feared God were not outside, and also for the servants that maybe didn't get the message, that was also not nice, right? Because the animals didn't have a chance, because, well, if nobody is going to let them go into the house, well, what can they do? But the servants, if they didn't get the message and they weren't warned before, well, they were just about to die. And that's crazy. But again, I just want to believe that, well, it was God's plan, so that he had a good place where they would go after their death, I hope. And yeah, so I hope I see you tomorrow. I wish you a great day, evening or night, and bye.